싶었어 이건 고잉은 언제나 너에게 going going.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Putri Arviani Azzahra with student ID number 3210055. I'm from class 33.68.01 from Bina Sarana Informatika University, Margonda City. Today, I will present my classroom management project, and the purpose is to fulfill the final term test assignment. In this project, I have two parts that I will explain. So the first part, I will explain about three topics. And in the second part, I will explain the results of my analysis of two cases. Let's start from part one. The first topic is teaching tolerance. So, teaching tolerance is dedicated to reducing prejudice, improving intergroup relations, and supporting equitable school experience for our nation's children. Teaching tolerance value can create a tolerant attitude of students in an atmosphere of mutual respect for one another. The process of developing tolerance value is promoted starting from the teacher who give ethic and tolerance behavior in the classroom and school environment. Here I show you 6 strategies for teaching tolerance. First is be culturally competent. The first thing educators must do before attempting to teach student tolerance is to understand and challenge their own bias related to race, class, gender, birth country, sexual orientation, age, religion, and so on. Stay informed of issues confronting members of marginalized populations so that personal bias are continuously challenged and hopefully eliminated. Second is classroom agreement. Many teachers work with their students at the beginning of the year to develop a classroom agreement, statements about behaviors the class agree are necessary for everyone to learn and feel safe in the classroom. These agreements almost always include a statement about respecting others. Take time to discuss what this means and intentionally ensure that students' understanding of the word respect extend to include respecting difference in race, gender, and religion. Third, a crumpled smile. Students likely do not understand just how much people who have experienced intolerance have to hide their true feelings. Ask students to draw a large smiley face on a piece of paper and tell them to crumple the paper just a little every time you say a statement that they feel is wrong. To say to or about someone. Say a variety of statements that inexplicitly demonstrate intolerance. Until most students have crumpled their papers into balls. Then ask students to unball the paper and smooth out the wrinkles to the best of their ability. Lead a discussion about the condition of the paper and the fact that the smile is still there. This exercise encourages empathy by giving students a visual representation of just how much intolerance hurts others. Fourth, teach through text. Discussions about bias and stereotypes are critical to teaching tolerance. Use books or other texts to help students talk about representation in text and the message being transmitted in those representations. Read the text aloud as students follow along and have them identify the style of language used and element of the plot. Ask questions to help them identify stereotypes through what is and is not represented. Discuss when positive and negative language are used and which character each type of language refers to. Ask them to tell you about how certain parts of the text made them feel and which character were present at the time. There can also be discussion about which characters are smart and which are shown as unsuccessful. Give students the opportunity to respond to the text, verbally or in writing, by answering questions about why the author's representations were fair or not and what they will change to make the representations in the text more accurate. 5. We are all unique. Brainstorm a list of physical differences that exist among people. Ask students to specifically provide word related to the difference in shape, size, color of people's heads, torsos, and legs or feet. Then divide the class into thirds and assign one third to draw heads with necks, one third to draw torsos, and one third to draw legs with feet. Randomly assign trio to put together 1%. After students have gotten a good laugh at how unique their newly created person is, ask them to point out a difference between themselves and the other members of their group that they like or admire. Have a whole class discussion about respect and why it's okay and beneficial even for people to have variety of attributes. Last is facilitate critical conversation. Students of all ages recognize and or experience the injustice inherent in bias, and they want to talk about it. They see this prejudice in the world every day, and it's up to educators to provide a safe space for children to have conversations that lead to empathy and understanding. Set up the classroom space so that it's conducive to discussion. Be sure that you have set a clear goal and behavioral guidelines for the conversation, and plan how you will keep students from being triggered or feeling singled out. Conversations about identify and injustice can provoke a range of emotions, so be prepared to address strong emotions so that the conversation is able to continue. Discomfort is necessary for growth to occur, so it's okay for students to be uncomfortable during this conversation as long as tension does not become confrontation. Teacher have the opportunity to counteract learned bias and attitude of intolerance that children learn elsewhere by providing a space where all students are treated fairly and without bias. When students are explicitly taught when students are explicitly taught to respect and love those who are different, the cycle of hate is disrupted and teachers show once again why they are heroes. Second topic is about helping students handle anger, frustration, and aggression. Emotions are complex psychological and physiological response we have to the stimuli in our environment or our internal thoughts. They are part of our daily experience and influence our thoughts, behaviors, and relationship with others. Each emotion serves a different purpose and arises in response to different situations. On any given day, a child may display one or more big emotions such as shame, worry, frustration, anger, or rage. These emotions can manifest themselves in visible display of behaviors such as defiance, temper tantrums, withdrawal, shutting down, or avoidance. These varies depending on the child. We often turn into the display of the behaviors and not the emotion itself. I shall give 7 expert tips to help students experiencing strong emotions. First one is identify the emotion. Teach children to recognize and use language to name their emotions. Second is identify the cause or triggers for their emotion. Teach children to recognize their triggers or how to identify what caused them to respond in a certain way. Help them to use language to identify those causes or triggers and to express their feelings to the people or about the situations that were the stimulus. Third, validate their emotions. Validate their feelings and support them in calming down or managing those emotions effectively. Four, talk and listen. Building trusting relationship with children has numerous benefits. It will be easier to be vulnerable with you because they know the teacher will not judge them but support them as needed. Five, space and time. The most supportive thing that you can do for a child is to give them space and time. They may need just a moment to experience the emotion and to self-regulate at a pace that is the best for them. Six, co-regulate. Sometimes children need you to help them to co-regulate. This may require the teacher and the child sitting quietly together and taking deep breaths to calm down. And last is model good behaviors. Students learn from the models they see regularly. Learning to identify and manage emotions effectively is a complex process. Parents, teachers, and other caregivers have a critical role helping children with this process. Last topic is about disruptive behavior. Disruptions in a classroom environment may make you want to throw your own tantrum, but children who act over are not doing it intentionally. Disruptive behavior can be caused by students who struggle with focus and emotional regulation. This doesn't mean you should always ignore the student's behavior. Classroom disruptions can affect the well-being and academic performance of the whole class. It does mean that you should build a positive relationship with the student. At its core, supporting and understanding students who struggle with behaviors will be more effective than punishment. Disruptive behaviors can fall into the following categories. First one is inattention. Students struggling with attention may fidget, wander, play with items on the desk, and so on. This form of disruption is rarely intentional. If the work is above or below the student's level, it may be hard to focus. Students may also struggle with executive functions that make sustained attention challenging. Second, interrupting lessons. Children may shout out answers, talk over you, whisper to classmates, make frequent excuses to leave their desks, or be deliberately noisy. It can also include inappropriate behavior such as outbursts, yelling, swearing, and this can happen when a student feels excited, enthusiastic, frustrated, or angry. Ultimately, there is a various reason for this behavior that you should be dig deeper to uncover. Third is aggression. Another form of classroom disruption, including hitting, kicking, shoving, spitting, and other forms of threatening behavior. Young children are still learning how to cope with big feelings and address conflict appropriately. They can often let those big feelings get the best of them, leading to cycle altercations. And the last is not cooperating. Students may simply ignore the directions, whine, argue, or talk back. And here, I'll give you 7 tips for managing disruptive behavior. The first one is clear rules. Clear rules about what is acceptable and what is not. Be careful to express rules in a positive way rather than making a list of do's and don'ts, and make it an exercise that involves the students so that they understand the purpose of the rules. You could show this by asking students to make posters which can then be displayed on the wall in the classroom. It's always a good idea to review the rules regularly and ask students to evaluate them. Number 2 is rapport. We all know that rapport with students is incredibly important. Finding the right balance, especially with young learners, is vital. If you want to be friendly and approachable without being a pushover, your approach needs to change with different class, with some students requiring a more firm approach and others less so. Number 3 is learning students' name. Learning students' name is highly important. Show an interest in the student's life outside of the classroom, finding out a little bit about their backgrounds, their interests, and treating them as individuals will not only help you understand them better, but also help you prepare lessons that are relevant to their interests and needs. Number 4 is develop. Develop a flexible teaching style and recognize when students are not interested in the lesson you have prepared for them. The ability to sense the student's mood and motivation can help control disruptive behavior. Number 5, build a team atmosphere. Encourage students to work more collaboratively and solve problems together. Number 6, don't lose control and start shooting. This never works. Avoid using sarcasm even if you think it's funny, your students won't understand. Be a good role model by behaving in a way that you want your learners to behave. If you are constantly late to class, your student will not take you seriously. And the last number is supporting strategies. If you think your student has a learning difference, talk to them and try to find out how you can support them. There are strategies you can work on together to help both you and the student. Okay, as I said before, in the second part, I will explain the results of my analysis of the case. So let's start it. Case 1. The problem is Mrs. Johnson is a 5th grade teacher who has been teaching for over 10 years. This year, she has a student named Alex who frequently displays aggressive behavior. Alex often interrupts lessons, talks back to the teacher, and sometimes even becomes physically aggressive towards his classmates. Mrs. Johnson has tried various strategies to manage Alex's behavior, such as setting clear rules and consequences, positive reinforcement for good behavior, and speaking with Alex privately to understand the root of his aggression. However, despite her efforts, Alex's behavior has not improved significantly. And the question is, what classroom management technique can Mrs. Johnson implement to address Alex's aggressive behavior? Provide at least 3 specific strategies and explain how each one could help improve the situation. And here, I show you the answer. The first one, have a deep heart to heart talk about the child's behavior in class and make eye contact with the students so that the students feel what you feel. And then let the student know what you felt when they did something in class. And the last, the teacher must give gifts and awards to students when they manage to keep their emotions. Case 2. Mr. Smith is a 7th-grade math teacher who has noticed that several students in his class frequently engage in off-task behavior during lessons. The students often daydream, chat with classmates, or using their phone instead of focusing on their work. Despite Mr. Smith's attempts to redirect their attention and provide engaging activities, the problem persists. This off-task behavior is disrupting the learning environment and affecting the overall performance of class. The question is, what strategies can Mr. Smith use to increase on-task behavior and decrease off-task behavior? Provide at least 3 specific strategies and explain how each one could help address the issue. Okay, here the answer. First one is make interesting study methods and make deals with students at the beginning of learning to involve children in class. And then listen to students when they have the chance to talk by face-to-face. And give more attention and attention to students in the classroom so that students pay more attention to teachers in the classroom. Last case. Miss Brown is an 8th-grade English teacher who is facing challenge with a student named Jake. Jake frequently exhibits disruptive behavior in class, such as talking out of turn, making inappropriate comments, and distracting other students. Despite Miss Brown attempts to manage the behavior through verbal warnings and setting change, Jake's behavior has not improved. This disruptive behavior is affecting the learning environment and making it difficult for other students to concentrate on their work. And the question is, what specific strategies can Ms. Brown implement to manage Jake's disruptive behavior? Provide at least 3 strategies and explain how each one could help address the issue. The answer is, when Jake starts his act when Mr. Brown begins the learning process, Mr. Brown should give a little warning to register. He then explained that the teacher wants to do something fun in class, but he has his own time and place. Or it can also be the way Mr. Brown gave a gesture to hint Jake to stop because his time for jokes was enough. And then before the start of the study, Mr. Brown has to make a deal at the beginning of class, explain and give an understanding of his learning. Also, before the start of the study, Mr. Jake has to make a deal at the beginning of class, explain and give an understanding of his learning. It also has to establish stable contact with students in the classroom. Oh, it's not Mr. Jake, sorry, Mr. Brown. And the last is have a private conversation with students who interfere during school hours. Then have a pleasant conversation which contains laughter and it is not very intimidating. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you so much for watching my videos and sorry if there are mistakes, verb or mistake, yeah, and other mistake. And see you.